you want the adults to get something out of it as well as, like the teens. So, but then I got to thinking that because I was going to go over peer pressure. And I got to thinking, and even today, us adults have to face, we drop the term peer off of it and just put pressure. Once we become adults, it seems like instead of peer pressure, we just say pressure. Whereas peer pressure is more of, your teen years, all that. So I was like, you know what? Just because we take the term peer out of it, we today as adults, if we're completely honest, can right now say that within the last couple weeks, somebody or something has tried to come in to pressure us into being more worldly or doing this or something, especially as parents. So I was like, you know what? This is actually a topic for, me as well as, if somebody 12, 13 years old. So what I wanted to do, because this is a very, a subject that today's teens deals with so much, and it seems like worse than whenever even I was in high school. Like as adults, what is one thing that you can remember when you was like, say, Harley's age, that you felt pressured to do by either your friends or your so-called friends or family? Would anybody be, willing to, say anything?
When I was in the Army, we would pressure our soldiers to sing karaoke.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was funny for us, but not for the one doing it.
Yeah. My next question was, have you ever tried to pressure somebody? So I'm glad you answered my other question right at, before I asked it. But a personal experience with me is I was 15, and I wish Wyatt was here because I think this is the first time he met me. We was at a fair, and I do not remember this boy, but he remembers me at this point. And but I was with my friend, and it was one of the first times that I got to go to the fair without my mom or my dad there. Like they just dropped us off and was like, you call me whenever you're ready. And, well, I just thought we was going to be riding rides, all that stuff. Well, my friend, she all of a sudden she pulls out a pack of cigarettes. And, I was like, oh, okay, and I was like, okay. Well, we get to going into the thing, because she had one in her hand. I don't know, whenever you're a teenager, you're like, yeah, this makes me look cool, And I was like, wonder what she's doing. She's just, carrying it. And so we're walking, and we're in this. It's like a really crowded area. Well, she sees an adult that she knew, and all of a sudden, she was like, here, hold this. Hold this. Hold this. Well, I looked up and I saw my little nephew. He was a lot younger than me. And because I'm not going to lie, I had considered it. I was just like, well, it's just holding it. And but I looked up and I saw my little nephew, and he had already saw me. And I looked at her and I said, no. I said, there's my nephew right there, and I do not want him to, even see this in my hand. But she was really like, here, trying to, and it could have been any other circumstance of, it could have been lit. Here, take you a hit. Or if it's drinking, here, just get you a small drink. Just see, because they want to see your face on how you react, so that's funny for them. But then you feel pressured to take that drink. So I told her, I was like, no, she got mad at me, but and that's another thing of peer pressure. Well, if they're not going to do what I want, I'm going to get mad at you. I'm going to try to manipulate you into what I want you to do. This can be all kinds of things, so we've got to make sure that, hey, is this really where is this what I know? Am I standing on what I know? Because they will try different tactics, whether it's to manipulate you. Oh, I'm mad. I'm not going to speak to you anymore. I'm going to break up with you if you don't. Yeah, I'm not gonna be your friend no more. All of that is different manipulation tactics. I think I pronounced that right. Tactics to get them to do to get you to do what they want, as well as, do we use them tactics? Do we? Oh, you're okay. This is fun. Let's, come on, because have we been in that situation where we're the ones, instead of being pressured, are we the ones that's pressuring? That's a different switch. Like, hey, am I doing this with, thinking it's good fun? Well, to you, it may be good fun, but to them, they may be literally panicking inside, But I want to read Exodus 23:2, because it says, believers are commanded not to follow the crowd into wrongdoing. 23:2. And that says, thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. So we've done talked about, like, as a teenager, because I always like to give, especially to teenagers, a personal experience to say, hey, this really is a thing. I'm not the only one that goes through this, because sometimes teenagers, believe it or not, they feel like they're going through it alone. They feel like they're the only ones that are going through it. And then, nobody knows or understands what I'm going through. I can remember thinking that as a teenager. No one understands. Mom and dad, they don't understand. They're done past this part of life. They don't understand what I'm going through. Our teens, sometimes they feel secluded. They feel alone. That's the way the world wants them to feel. That's the way the devil wants them to feel. So they seclude them. What better way in their mindset is, I'm going through this alone? You're not going through it alone. As an adult, would anybody offer up something that they feel like they're pressured to do as an adult?
So at work, they talk very bad words and make fun of people, and it's bad. And sometimes if you're around it on that end day, it's hard not to be that way.
Yes.
You got to know, understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
To not.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly what they're saying. We're commanded to not follow that crowd into the wrongdoing. That was the, anybody else? Because I know we all are dealing with some type of, not, we don't say peer pressure no more, but some type of pressure.
Well, even in the professional field, now a lot of businesses are so political that they are bending to the LGBTQ AI B- plus, and they give you training, yearly training, so that they can say that we have been trained and we have to react in a certain way, or like they want us to approve or certain things. So that also is peer pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my next thing as a church. Even as a church, we deal constantly with peer pressure, like the world pressure, whatever world pressure, parent pressure. You can put anything in that you want to, but it's pressure to conform you into what the world is wanting. Honestly, I don't know.
Because this is going to be a very interesting topic.
And even today, you have to watch how you act. I had a little friend that talked about
I didn't see it earlier.
He was under pressure at school, but he was acting out in favor of the animal. You know, they connect that with the LGBTQ too, that furry or whatever.
Yeah.
That people dress like they want to be or act whatever. So, you know, I just don't act like that because this is what came to me. They think it's part of that LGBTQ furry thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't act the way you used to as kids and a youth.
Yeah, like I said, however you want to, like it don't just have to be peer pressure. You know, it could be, you know, we kind of in our minds think I'm not a teen anymore. I don't deal with that. But let me ask you a serious question. How many, and it's usually women. So women, when I ask you this, I'm in the same boat and I am learning how not to do this. But how many of us like to people please?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it can be a man too, but it seems like the women are the ones that are like, I don't want them disappointed in me. I don't want them mad at me. I don't want them. Well, we've got to be very, very careful, ladies, because if we do not let the Lord give us the boldness and what we need right then, because then we feel like, oh, I got to people please, but that person is meant to, they're trying to get you into sin. And we have to be able to say no. Like, yes, I love you. I don't want you mad at me. I don't want you disappointed in me. Me personally, growing up, I would have rather had my mother wear me out or punch me before she looked at me and said, I am so disappointed in you.
You were talking about the church also. Now, this is a Sunday school lesson.
Yeah.
So we're in the confines of a church.
Yeah.
Amongst holy people.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing for those of us that are here, we are pressured into, you don't have to believe like that. You don't have to have such a high standard. You don't have to do that. Now you're like you passed over a threshold and now you're unholy. That we got, like it went upside down. Because of it's now anymore, it's more of a lax type of
Yes.
congregation. You know, they don't have to be here. You cannot judge them if they're not here. In the early days, before 100 years ago, 150 years ago, the churches, there was people go to church five at least 3 times a week, at least. But it was common for people to go to church 5 times a week. Now, once a week, and they didn't have a washing machine, they didn't have a dishwasher, they didn't have a car, they didn't have all those things. They didn't have a air conditioning car.
Yeah.
And they were still in the church.
Yeah. No, they, you know, it says, would anybody care to read Proverbs, chapter 1, 10 through 15? There's,
You know, while we're finding that, I was reading somewhere the other day, they're making the bathrooms transgender now, and whatever gender you feel like that day, then that's a bathroom you can go into. If you go in and you feel like you want to be a boy that day and you're a girl, then you can go in a transgender bathroom. Or if you're a boy and you feel like a girl that day, that's why they're making them transgender, so they can go wherever they choose that day and how they feel.
As long as they keep them separate from the normal people.
well, you know, honestly, whenever me and the girls are going somewhere, it's just me and my kids, we honestly go to the bathroom that's for just the family. So that way, you know, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about somebody else creeping in the other stall. And, you know, but when he's with us, he'll take Waylon to the men's and then I take the girls to the girls. But whenever it's just me and the kiddos, I take different measures because you just can't never be too careful. 10 through 15.
10 to 13. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lay waste for blood, let us work privately for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive as a grave, and whole as those that go down into the pit. We shall find all precious substance, we shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in thy lot, cast in thy lot amongst us, let us all have one purse. My son, walk not thou in the way with them, refrain thy foot from their path.
So rather than adopting the world's patterns, because again, we've been talking about the world's, and I can't even remember all the letters in LBGQ,
There's ED.
Yeah, see, I can't remember all of it, but I know that is a very big thing right now. But rather than adopting the world's patterns, Christians are called to undergo inner transformation through renewed thinking, enabling them to discern God's will. We have to let God do a work in us. So that way we have to pray for boldness. We have to pray for discernment. I even tell Harley and Gracie and all of them, pray for discernment. Pray for wisdom. So that way you have that little ding, ding, ding in your mind, even if it just seems so innocent. Because that's the way the world wants to make it. Oh, it ain't going to hurt. It's okay. They want to put a tape over the Christian's mouth to where they can't say nothing. It's all like if they only want to talk about Jesus's love, about their it's LGBTQ, and it says lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual. So, like I was saying, the world today wants to put a piece of tape over our mouth because they only want to focus on the love of Jesus, about his, about how, he loves you. He's, and they make it to where everybody thinks they're going to heaven living in their sin. That they don't have to turn away from anything, that they don't have to lay anything down, that they don't have to have sanctification. No, if you actually get in your Bible, it tells you, hey, you can't be doing this and still make it into heaven with me. You can't go ahead. You got something? You can't do this because what it tells us is, yes, he loves you, but he hates your sin. Your sin will not enter in. He wants to take you and deliver you from that sin, sanctify you, so that way you have a mansion waiting on you in heaven. But the world, the pressure today is you can't say that.
Sister Devan, another thing is, Harley, I hope you listen. The world is out for our children, just like it was out for us.
Yeah.
And the world is going to pressure you to do something. But with this technology we have, it may be for everybody to see, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yes, like that's another thing with pressure, peer pressure. Kids today is getting fancier phones at an earlier age to where they have all the nicks and crannies, I think is the term or the lingo. And they can look up anything and everything that they want, and they're smarter at the devices than their parents. And the parents don't even know because they're like, "Oh, my kid, he's only 11. I'm going to use Waylon right now. He's 11 years old. He turned 11 in June. But I'm telling you, that kid would be smarter than me at technology in a week if I did not supervise. And then next thing you know, I'm like, what's he on? He might not purposely try to look at something, but something's going to try to pop up because that's the way this world is. We are I kind of am one of the moms to where I tell them the tablets, because they each have a tablet, and we have some laptops for homeschool. They do not have free range with them tablets, and they do not have free range with that laptop. I monitor This is for homeschool. This is for you to learn. You are to not get off of what I've put you on, because I know how precious their innocence is, and the world is there to steal it, and how quickly it can be taken away. And that's exactly what the world wants, is to take our baby's innocence at a younger age every year. And I will protect that innocence. I will protect my baby boy. I will protect my baby girls, because I see the joy that they have, the innocence that they have, and that's what I'm there to protect. I don't want the world to grow them up. That, what I said earlier, the parenting pressure, I took away the peer pressure, but put the parenting pressure. Today, us parents, we face that. We have to always, we're dealing with, and even self pressure. Can I add that? Because myself, so this is our own personal testimony, and I think everybody in here knows about this, and I don't see no little kids. But whenever me and Wyatt were very first saved, that first year, I was already being convicted over Santa Claus and Halloween. Now, again, this is my personal testimony. I am not trying to put our convictions on somebody else. But we was dealing with that, because I was like, should we? Should we do the Santa Claus? Should we do the Halloween? But my self-pressure, because, as a mom, as a parent, you're like, but what if I'm depriving my kids? Has anybody ever thought that personally? Because I really don't think I'm in that boat alone, because we really don't want to deprive our kids. We don't want to take any joy away. We want them to enjoy their childhood and have beautiful, precious moments. And me as a kid, I'm right here. I remember getting up super early in the morning and being so excited. Santa Claus came to visit me. So I remembered that. And I was like, but am I depriving my kid from this? I struggled so hard. Halloween. Am I depriving my kids? Because one of the things the world wants to tell you, they don't have to wear the creepy demonic costumes. They can wear an angel costume. They can wear a little lamb costume. They can be a shepherd, but you're still celebrating it. And like I said, I don't want anybody thinking I'm casting any type of judgment whenever I say this, because it's just truly something I struggled with as a mother. The world, that's what the world was saying. They can just be a shepherd. They can be something godly on this day. Let them still go out. Even the churches were, what about trunk or treating? What about this? This is everything that was coming at me just like boomerang. Not boomerangs, because they didn't fly back, but like a bomb, and I was like, oh wow, what is the right thing? But at the end of the day, I had to pray about it. I had to really, Lord, I feel pressured. I feel pressured from every angle.
You can't look at it like you're depriving them. You have to look at it like this: you're lying to them.
Yeah.
And one day you're going to have to answer to that lie when they get bigger.
Yeah.
And say, Mama. So you have to choose whom this day you're going to serve.
Yeah.
And you have to teach them that, because if you let them do Halloween, you're choosing to let them serve the devil that day and not God.
Yeah.
So,
No, like I said, it's something as a parent that I feel like comes against us hard because again, self-pressure, you have world pressure, you even have churches conforming to it and doing trunk or treating or open their doors and letting them come in. In a brand, my thinking, I even thought this, because I can remember some of the trains of thoughts was, well, if the churches is open the doors and letting it happen, isn't it okay? As a brand new Christian, as a mom, it really was confusing to me.
yeah, it sure was, because the church, so many of the churches that brought the world out into the church.
Yeah, but that's a perfect example of the pressure for the church too, because well, if you're not doing it, I don't know, Jose, what would the world say if this, when the church says, no, I ain't going to conform to the Halloween thing and do the trunk or treat or let the people come in, what would they say?
Well, that you're being too religious, and that you holding them back.
Yep.
But one thing that with my kids, because you remember my ex-wife was not saved, so we argued about that.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where it got ugly.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want them to go after I got saved. So to keep the peace at home, I compromised. But it was not a compromise. It was not a full compromise. But you know that the children, they felt bad. They knew it was wrong. Little kids know it's wrong.
Yeah.
It don't seem like we make it. At first, they were excited, because they wanted to go get the candy. They were excited. But when they got back, you could sense they were disappointed in themselves.
Yeah. Well, that's another example of he was pressured. His wife was pressuring him, and he felt like backed in a corner, because how do I keep the peace at home, So I mean, like I said, we adults please take us seriously. You are not alone in that feeling of, hey, what do? I feel pressured at every angle. Again, take the peer pressure out of that term. That is what the teens today is dealing with. We are today still dealing with it, and we have to be able to pray and ask God, help me to stand where you want me to stand and not where the world wants me to stand. The Bible recognizes that social pressure operates through fear of rejection. Go ahead.
Like the Santa Claus saying, if you spell Santa and Satan, all you got to do is rearrange the 1, 2 letters.
You're right, go ahead.
Yeah, and Santa and Satan all good. And they come out in the movie a year or two ago, and the little boy spelled it wrong when he said, "Dear,
Oh, yeah.
letter to Santa Claus, but it's dear Satan."
Yeah.
And Jack Black plays in it. That little, I just seen previews of it. I didn't watch it. But the way I understood the previews is that nobody ever calls on Satan anymore. That's really, nobody believes in it anymore. That's kind of how it was. The theme was going. But the thing that got me with Santa Claus was we got a little cousin. He's 6. How old was Elijah when he?
I was going to tell that. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I was literally going to say this. This kid, he was probably 6, but he put me. I was like, I ain't convicted. He made me really think. And he was what made me, this little innocent boy, is what gave me the boldness to do away with it. Go ahead.
His name's Elijah. So.
And even his mother, he said after, then she was like, because she was going to continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. She was going to continue on for her daughter. She had a younger daughter, but she had stopped with the oldest boy. And then so even the mother, she was still dealing with it. Me and her we had talked about it. And then next thing you know, Elijah comes to Audra and says what?
It's talking about the cookies and milk, like an offering or a sacrifice. You probably, I never forgot it. You probably know better than I do. But
so you've made Santa an idol. Because, all the kids, you're talking about Santa. The kids are talking about Santa. That's all what December, even majority of November is about is Santa Claus. You have movies over Santa Claus. You have figurines of Santa Claus, all that. So you've made Santa an idol, as well as you're giving sacrifices under him because you're making him milk and cookies. So you're giving him sacrifices. So, and I was like, oh man, and there's this little boy, and he just hit that innocence, because I was warm with it. And I said, all right, we're done. That year, I told the kids, and I tell them, I also am respectful. I tell the kids, listen, you can't be going and telling other little kids. I said, because I don't know what their mommies and their daddies is telling them. But this is what we're going to do in our house. But that a little boy, younger than Waylon at the time, is the one that said that. And then I said, okay. I'm, because if there's your sacrifice. You're giving them milk and cookies, and I hadn't even done stuff for the reindeer, And so it really is like, if you think about it, you've made, there's your idol and there's your sacrifices.
The Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, all of them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad that we were brought up believing in all that, and
Yeah.
we just do what our parents did.
Yep. And I was reading something one time, and this is actual personal with me, because growing up, whenever I found out that Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy wasn't real, I said, was Jesus even real?
See?
I remember that, and my mom was like, yes, yes. But I remember really struggling in my little mind, like, well, if I can't see them, I can't see Jesus, so how is Jesus real, but Santa Claus ain't?
I know, yeah, see?
So that's another thing that, it's just a war. You have all these thoughts and stuff coming into your mind, and it's just, as a parent, you've got parent pressure. Anxiety about others' opinions creates vulnerability. Has anybody ever dealt with that? Like, anxiety about others' opinions creates vulnerability. So we've done said that it's social pressure comes from the fear of rejection. You don't want them to not like you. You don't want them to be mad at you or disappointed in you or say bad things about you. And whenever you are dealing with you do feel vulnerable, because you're like, I feel like I just put a big old target on my own back because of what I just said, or what I'm not doing. But again, you got to stand for what God is telling you to stand on. Just like whenever the preaching the other day on Father's Day, he stood. He knew he had to stand, and God gave him the strength to stand. And then he won that battle. Why do you care to read Proverbs 29:25? I am so thirsty. I don't know.
29, 25. The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso willeth his trust in the Lord shall be safe.
So who are you going to fear? At the end of the day, who are you going to fear? Whenever you are told to stand on something and you know that God is telling you to do something, are you going to fear what man's reaction is, that rejection? Or are you going to fear God? And maybe, depending on what it is and how far it's in his rejection. I would much rather deal with people's rejection than God saying, no, you're not mine.
And I'd much rather stand on God and have that fear of God and be wrong than to side with the world and miss what God, in my situation, God has just told me to stand and be still. People, you need to do this and you need to do that. It's not their salvation, it's mine, number one. It's mine, and I have to work that out with the Lord. And I have to hear what the Lord tells me and be still no matter what the Lord says. Is it hard? Yeah, because when you hear all this in your mind, like, which way do I go?
Yeah.
But still, you just got to stand and have that fear of the Lord.
Yeah. Yes. So who are you going to fear today? Are you going to fear man, or are you going to fear God? Because serving Christ and seeking to please God is incompatible with prioritizing human approval. Does anybody care to read Galatians chapter 1:10?
For do I know, or do I, 1:10, right, Galatians 1:10?
Chapter 1, verse 10.
Or do I know now persuade men or God, or do I seek to please men? For if I yet pleased man, I should not be the servant of Christ.
You cannot prioritizing human approval, people pleasing. I done asked if you're a people pleaser. I've done said I battle with that very bad. Like I have to pray about that and say, Lord, you're going to have to give me the backbone that I need so that way I can say no. Because I've been, the way I've always been is I literally felt like I had to say yes. And it could have been no pressure on their end at all. But me, I had that pressure on myself to meet expectations or to not disappoint or to jump through hoops for somebody. And I should have said no. I deal with that and pray for me. Help me pray for that because that is something that the Lord is trying, He's dealing with me and I've gotten better. But it's hard whenever that's the way you've always been.
And it's not always people, it's not, and I'm saying this and don't take it the wrong way, it's not, when I say you have to choose whom you serve every day, it's not always easy when you make that choice to serve God. Sometimes it breaks you because you have to make a decision. Now, if you want to serve the enemy or you want to serve God. And sometimes you have to make that decision and stand firm because it will break you to stand for God, but that's what you got to do no matter what.
Yeah.
If you take people that they've been saved very long, say they're bad at this. Sister Glenda, do you care if I use you?
Go ahead, brother.
So say, me and Sister Glenda and you, we all go to the same church. So we get saved and we go out and we partake in Halloween, not really knowing. So we heard this Bible study and we just kind of run it through our heads, like, should we not? We got a situation where this kid, we just kind of, we'll do it this year and be gone with it. But, then you take Sister Glenda, been around a long time, knowing, she can't just harp at us, at me and you for doing that.
Yeah,
we know it's wrong, but we're trying to keep peace amongst others, like Brother Jose said.
because we dealt with that first year.
Like you couldn't just harp it up. You're right. You shouldn't do that. Blah. We know that, but we've got other things to keep too. But the Lord will work it out to where nobody really has to say nothing.
Right, that's my place.
Yes, the Lord.
I've been guilty of harping.
The Lord really did, like I said, we dealt with this the first year, and the Lord worked it out. But we just wasn't there yet. We wasn't, but the Lord gave us the strength and He gave us what we needed, and then we stopped.
He puts it in your heart, it's not wrong, but once He puts it in your heart and you get,
well, see, I was already dealing with it. It was in my heart, but that first year I overrode it. But go ahead.
Convicted and then it's wrong, then it's time for you to make that choice.
Yeah.
You were talking about policing people. Sometimes you police people, and the sad thing is that they don't even care.
Right. That's right. And that's that getting back when you turn around, right?
They don't care.
They don't.
You police them to the utmost of your abilities, and in 5 minutes, they forgot all about it.
Yep.
They forgot about it, but the wrong that you've done, that one wrong thing you've done is always right there.
Right there, right?
Yep.
Always there.
And I'm gonna be very serious. That's why it matters where you go to church.
Yeah.
Because some people just don't care.
They don't.
There's people that take and take and take and
Right.
take and take, and they never say stop, or they never say, they just take whatever you give them, and they expect more.
Right?
Yeah.
I need prayer to learn to pray and not harp. I'm bad about that. I'm guilty, God, but it's because I'm mom, and I try to show the love, and sometimes, like you said, I'm beating that finger and harping, and that ain't the way you do it.
Right.
So I need to learn too, just because I'm older don't mean I'm watching her all the time.
And it doesn't matter how old you are, because Dakota, she is already dealing with pressure. like as far as how she's supposed to dress, her hair, her, one, it's hard. Being a girl's hard, and so that is already a thing with her. And I have to tell her, Dakota, you are so sweet. You are so beautiful. And I want you to be Dakota. I don't want you to try to be somebody else or be anything else other than that sweet, kind-hearted little girl that I know you are.
That was just the blonde, right?
Yep.
I just want to share this with you. She had her dress on backwards, and I went in there with her, and a granny, a mama's first thing, they want to take it off and help her. But, she didn't let that happen. She said, here, I know how to do it. She pulled her arms out, kept herself covered, and she turned that dress around.
Mm-hmm.
So she knows she's learned.
Yeah.
Y'all taught her well.
She, so it doesn't matter how old you are. It does, kids, the competitiveness that the world wants to bring out in kids. My kid can do this better than your kid. My kid hits the ball farther or can swish the ball better than your kid. Pressure. You are literally raising up your kids to where they respond to pressure. Does that make sense? If I'm constantly telling Waylon, or he's constantly hearing, oh, you can't, you need to hit the ball better than this person. You need to hit this ball better than this, which
You need to concentrate. You can do this. I know you can.
Yeah,
You're putting him under that pressure.
You're putting them under that to where they well, if he's doing it better, I have to do this better. But then it turns into, well, if they're doing it, I'm going to do it. It turns into that because that's how the world, because how many kids is influenced by that stuff, and then they go and be like, well, I can't let them outshine me. I got to be tougher. I got to be badder. I got to do this, in a boy perspective. Yeah, and then the girls, it's, I got to dress cuter. I got to do my hair cuter. I got to be skinnier.
Right.
The world will eat your kids alive. I've dealt with that. I'm constantly hearing you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're ugly. Protect your kids. Pray over your kids because the world is going to try to just eat them alive with that stuff. And it starts here because if it gets in your mind, it's so much harder to get rid of it. But where was I? This tension is unavoidable. Those chosen by Christ should expect the world's hostility since they no longer belong to it. I'm going to say that again. Expect the hostility when you take this stand because you no longer belong to the world. Would somebody read John chapter 15 and verses 18 and 19?
John what?
John 15, and it's verse 18 and 19.
Yeah. I read it.
If the world, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. Oh, boy. Whew. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated the world. 19:2. No, yeah, that it hated me before it hated you. Yeah. Ooh.
Okay, and then somebody want to read 19?
If you were of the world will love his own, but because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you.
I know people, I'm not picking at you.
You can pick and make them on.
I know people that get heart that every day. The world is hard. Break it down for the one thing in your life that you got wrong. And I've seen people get away from that for a week or so at a time, And their whole countenance is different because they're not constantly. If you hit somebody in the head every day or two before, eventually they're just going to be bad. You're going to know the difference. You get away from that, you're going to start saying that healing. And that one thing that they have wrong in their life will start slowly dwindling away. I told her, she, being her, we good at seeing each other's thoughts. Like we could pinpoint them and harp at them all day. At the end of the day, it just made me want to do it more, made her want to do it more, whatever, you don't need, because when Jesus walks in and takes control, and he starts letting you know, that's when the real battle begins. You battle with yourself, you're not battling somebody else, constantly bringing you down, constantly beating you over the head with something. So that is a worldly tactic, because the enemy sets their hearts to Jesus about, well, look what they done. You remember this? He's harping.
Yeah.
Harping is a worldly tactic of the enemy. We may not see it that way. We see it as somebody's got to tell them the truth.
Right.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. But how are you doing the truth?
Right.
There's a lot of people. This is the truth. There's a lot of people need their brains knocked out of their head, but it don't happen.
Right.
Even though it should happen, it don't mean mercy and grace comes in and plays a part. That's what Jesus does. You ever heard somebody say they just need their teeth knocked out of their head?
No.
But Jesus loves that person.
It's truthful. They may need it, but it don't mean you need
You
it.
can do it. Right.
Yeah, because it's the Lord's battle. He might, a lot of times it's between that person and him. And it says if we hand it over to him, the battle is his. But if we try to win that battle ourselves and take it into control ourselves, then he's going to let you try to win it. But it's just
A lot of people say that, the truth. What's the truth? A lot of people never had the truth. Smack them back in the face.
Right.
Right.
In our battles is on our knees. I've had to learn that the hard way. You trust God and you pray and you give it to him and let him work it out, and that way you don't become that bad person. You don't become that one that's hardened. You don't become that one that's badger. And then you can stand and see the salvation of the Lord.
And you can't fester on things either. Somebody harps at me or something like that, I'll fester on what they said, or what they're saying to me, or anything like that. It just plays a big triple effect on everything. We fight not against flesh and blood and fist fight each other, but we fight against personalities and powers of the air.
but it says believers receive assurance that suffering for righteousness brings happiness, and fear of others threats should not disturb our inner peace. So yes, I was like, oh man, how is this going to be for the adults too?
They work.
It's from any age group. We deal with pressure, whether how we talk, how we dress, how the church deals with pressure. So let's just all, in our prayer closets, remember our teens, because they really do deal with this stuff of how, of the pressure on the world is beating down on them. Like, hey, you've got to do this or we're going to reject you. And we've talked about how that vulnerability of that rejection, it tries to conform us so that way we fall in line. We got to pray for the boldness to stand firm. So who would like to clock us?